Yo, what's up, Gemini? Welcome to Monthly Forecast for the month of June 2018. Gemini, a lot of important astrology happening once again this month. We've got a new moon, which is actually going to happen in your sign mid-month. And then there's going to be Neptune going retrograde, then Mars is going retrograde, and then we finish off the month with a full moon that has to do with your shared resource situation. But the sun is going to be in your sign throughout the month of June 2018, Gemini. So the focus is going to be on you. You're going to notice that, you're going to be the center of attention throughout the month of June 2018. And this is a new solar cycle. And I'm going to talk more about that later in the forecast because the new moon is also going to be hitting in your sign mid-month. And then the sun is going to shift on June 21st. It's going to move into an area that has to do with your money situation. So there's going to be more of a focus on your money following June 21st. You're going to have your mind on your money a lot more than you usually do. And, if something doesn't benefit your bottom line, then you might not go through with it. So it all depends on your unique situation. But those are the main themes for you, Gemini, for the month of June 2018. Now I'm going to talk about some more specific major astrological events that are set to occur this month and what they mean for you. Right off the bat on June 1st, Venus will positively aspect Jupiter, which is retrograding. So this is something positive about your career and about your work life and the area where you earn your money. But, with Jupiter retrograding, it's like there's a little bit of a delay. And I'm not saying that, this is a major delay or anything, but with Jupiter retrograding, potentially this is kind of, it's kind of putting a hang up on your work aspirations right now. So, you might see some glimpses of achievement right around June 1st regarding the area where you earn your money and your work. But at the same time, it's like you're not going to see, completion, or you're not going to see, an achievement of some sort of long-term goal when it comes to your work or your money situation. On June 6th, Mercury will aspect Neptune, and Mercury is your ruler. Mercury's in your sign on June 6th. It's aspecting Neptune. And, some of you have big plans and dreams when it comes to your career, and that's great. And, some of them are realistic, but, with the influence of Neptune there, some of them aren't realistic. So you have to try to figure out, on June 6th, what are the realistic things that you can achieve in your career, Gemini. So you want to take a logical approach to those. Use your ruler. Your ruler is Mercury, so it's all about logic and what's rational. And Neptune is the antithesis of that. So Neptune is more about, dreaming, and, it's not realistic. And, potentially sometimes things can be a bit confusing with Neptune. So, you might be a little bit confused right around June 6th. And then on June 8th, Mars will aspect Saturn, which is retrograding. And, Mars is in this area that has to do with faraway places for you. And it's making this aspect to Saturn, which is retrograding. And, Saturn has different sides to itself. It all depends on, what your situation is. It's like if you've been in a difficult shared resource situation for a while, it's like, Saturn could say that maybe some of you feel sort of trapped in this situation. For others of you, it would have to do with something that's long-term and, something that's a positive and long-term. So, Saturn's very gradual. So, if there is a shared resource situation that you can make happen, it's going to take time to develop it. And, especially if you're single, Gemini, and, this would suggest Saturn and Mars aspecting each other June 8th. It's like, some of you do have the opportunity to connect with someone who's in a faraway place. It's someone who you're really attracted to potentially. For others of you, maybe this is someone who's local, who's from a cultural background that's different from yours. I mean, every Gemini scenario is different, but, faraway places are a theme there, Gemini, on June 8th. So, depending on how that's resonating in your life, it's going to have to, however it fits your unique situation. It's not going to be the same for all of you. On June 13th, there's a new moon in your sign. So this is like a whole new chapter coming down the pike for you, Gemini. So the way new moon works, it's going to hit in your sign on June 13th, the 6 months that follow June 13th. This is the beginning. This is something that's taking shape, something new in your life. Potentially like a seed is getting planted. And then, it's starting to grow and grow and grow in the 6 months that follow. June 13th, you're going to see this developing in your life. So it's like a new beginning of some sort for some of you. So I think that's something you should be really excited about. This is a time to take your eyes off of the rearview mirror. You shouldn't, focus on the past so much. So it's all about forward thinking. And on June 16th, Uranus will aspect Neptune. And this one has to do, once again, I mean, some of you're just dreaming about these hopes that you have for your career, and there's nothing wrong with that. You really gotta find out, what's realistic. And, some of you have the opportunity to utilize technology a lot more, sort of in the behind the scenes way in your career. And, it could be technology, or, potentially some of you can utilize social media more in your career. But, what's a realistic use of it? So, Uranus is there in this area for you that has to do with things that are sort of behind the scenes, but its angle to Neptune suggests that you need to, make sure you're not in fantasy land when it comes to the things that you're trying to achieve professionally. On June 18th, Neptune will start to retrograde. And it's going to retrograde until November 24th. So, there's a really big emphasis on you needing to be more realistic about your career aspirations, Gemini. So, Neptune will begin to retrograde on June 18th, and R for retrograde, R for review. So this is you reviewing what's happening in your professional life, and pick out what's realistic and what's not. During this time from June 18th and November 24th, and this is about you. This is not about like what's happening around you. What is there an outdated way that you are operating within your professional life, Gemini? If so, then retrograde it out so that something better and more efficient and more effective can come in. On June 21st, Venus will oppose Mars. And this has to do with, like, some of you really are attracted, especially if you're single, some of you really are attracted to someone who's in a faraway place. So, that's a very specific scenario, but for you Geminis who have some sort of connection with somebody who's in a faraway place, and, potentially it's a romantic attraction, and, maybe you have the opportunity to connect with this person, then go for it. But for others of you, this might be about spirituality. So you did have that new moon solar eclipse that hit in your sector of spirituality back in the beginning of the year. So this is the same area. I mean, where Mars is your sector of spirituality. So this is putting more of an emphasis on the spiritual aspect of your life. And for some of you, it's more about organized religion. But for others of you, it's, if you're watching this video, it might be more about an alternative form of spirituality, like numerology, astrology, tarot potentially. So it's going to resonate differently for all of you. On June 26th, Mars will begin to retrograde, and it's going to start its retrograde cycle in your sector of spirituality, and it's going to retrograde so much that it's going to go backwards into your sector of shared resources and shared finances. And then it'll eventually, it'll start to move direct in that area. And then it'll move forward so much that it's going to move back into your sector of spirituality, which is also a place that has to do with faraway places and foreign cultures. So, like I said, this is sort of about what I just talked about. It's a really specific scenario, but, if some of you have the opportunity, like especially if you're single, to connect with somebody who's in a faraway place, you're attracted to them, you can form some type of union for them, then this cycle might be about that. This is like, Mars doesn't want to just keep going because it says there's work to be done. There's something important in your life that needs to be done, and it has to do with, potentially for some of you, it has to do with a faraway place. It could have to do with a union of some sort with somebody. If not, then potentially it has to do with someone who's from a cultural background that's different from yours, and they could be local to you. So those are very specific examples, but those are the areas of your life that are being affected with this Mars retrograde cycle. And then on June 28th, there's a full moon, and this one happens in an area that has to do with your shared resource situation. So, if you're single, this could be the formulation of a shared resource situation. So, potentially, I'm not saying all Geminis are going to enter into some sort of union following June 28th, but this is the time to do it. If you are single, take action to bring someone into your life who you can eventually share your life with. If you're coupled up, potentially this could be a development of some sort in your shared resource situation. For others of you, it might have to do with a business deal, a contract, or a negotiation. That's all for you this month, Gemini. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe, share, and like. I'm on Instagram, Gregory Furlan Astrology. Thank you for watching. Have a great month, and I'll see you next time.